Hey there everybody, welcome back. It's Enigmatic Entertainment, back again with another video. This is another album review. If you want to see the previous ones, there'll be a link in the description box below to check them out. So, let's get right into it. This album is going to be, once again, a track-by-track review, starting from top to bottom. No deluxe editions, reissues, international releases, or anything like that. Just the original album. So, starting off, this is the Man on the Moon, rather. 2. The Legend of Mr. Rager by Kid Cudi is the follow-up to his debut studio album, Man on the Moon, The End of Day. Like the previous album, this is also broken up into acts again. There's 5 acts. When you starting off track 1, act 1. Scott Mescudi versus the World. Starts off the album, starts the first act. First act is titled The World I Am Ruling, by the way. Starts off with a similar tone to the first song on the first album, actually. Like that bell ringing, like ding, 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 ding. It's actually pretty cool. It's a reference to the first album, and there are multiple references to the first album and various songs from that album on here, since this is a sequel. And I will be mentioning some of them as I go along. This theme, very kind of mellow for this song. Features Ceelo Green on the chorus. Telling the listeners, this is a journey, kind of like how the first album was. Strong narrative, Cudi's verses, he starts them both off with the same line, "What up?" which also is reminiscent of the first song, once again, on the first album, Lyrically, he kind of breaks down how he's feeling now since the first album was released, since it's been like a year later, He makes references, once again, to his drug use, his rise to fame, having like a hit album out and whatnot. Working hard to keep up that momentum. He addresses the haters who are, stuck in the same place while he's progressing and moving on and improving in his life and career. Now, personally, this is another track that I'm just not really that fond of. As usual, it's an intro track. I'm not always the most keen on like intro tracks as far as repeatability or replayability and whatnot. It does its thing. Not like I hate it or anything like that. Just doesn't stick with me as some of the other tracks that follow. And I think Ceelo Green did pretty well with the chorus, and Cudi's verses weren't bad. He comes across a bit more confident and sure of himself, which is always nice to hear, Moving on to track 2. This one is Revofev, in all caps. That's how it's stylized. Revofev. I don't know. I never really had to say the name out loud, honestly. It stands for like Revolution of Evolution, I believe, based on what I've read, which is pretty cool. This is a track that's like an anthem. Starts off with Kid Cudi declaring himself, he's like, I'm your big brother, and, I have something to say to the kids, things like that. Which fits for a track about revolution and evolution, speaking to the new generation, and trying to be a big brother figure. Not much to break down lyrically, but that's not a slight for this track because he's quite direct to the point, and with his message to the listeners, tells them not to stress out because things are gonna be tough, but things will be okay. The stress is just gonna hold you back. Quite a simple concept, but done quite dang well, I'd say, honestly. This track has him going back to singing about his happiness, and today is gonna be a different day. He's all right. Once again, he continues on a more positive tone, like the intro track. He mentions on more than one occasion that, once again, he's like, I am your big brother. You gotta listen to the song, and so you can hear it in his voice. I'm not doing it any justice at all. But it's quite catchy at times and flows quite nicely. Easily one of my favorite tracks on the album, despite the unorthodox and kind of vague nature of the song, because he doesn't really ever say what the revolution or the evolution is, just like, but we're gonna do it, and I'm like, yeah, revolutionary, but like, what? You know what I mean? But moving on, next track is, ironically, Don't Play This Song, which is funny because this is actually one of my favorite songs on the album. This actually begins Act 2, A Stronger Trip. I really like it. I do. It has Cudi going through his feelings he'd be dealing with, like sadness and loneliness. He mentions his mother twice in the first verse alone. Talks about, praying for her, and, references a situation where she calls him on the phone and he hits decline because he's numb faced talking about thinking about suicide, which is, I mean, damn, you know what I mean? And he's probably like the drugs probably getting to him and whatnot. Unfortunately, um, this song features Mary J. Blige on the chorus and the bridge, I believe, and I believe they sing it together. Talking about people really think they're being helpful by telling me please be careful. Once again, I'm not a singer, but it's a sharp look at the platitudes that we give each other on a regular basis, or at least this is how I am taking it. Once again, those little lines that you just say sometimes on instinct, like be careful, or I hope you feel better, get well soon. This is the stuff we just say, and it's like we just kind of say it damn near like second nature, like, you know what I mean? But do we ever really think about if that's actually helping the other person, or do we just say it to have something that sounds nice, And I've thought about that a lot, and I feel like that's what this song and the chorus in particular is really trying to bring to the table, Maybe I'm completely off base. Who knows? What do you think about it? Anyways, I still just think it's ironic that this is one of my favorite songs, and it's called Don't Play This Song, and I feel like it is really one of the standout tracks on the album, easily. On top of that, it's funny because the intro line, he says like, hey, let's have some fun this time. But the song is not about fun in the slightest bit. Like, you know what I mean? It's really kind of a bit of a downer. But hey, one of my favorite tracks, easily top 3 in the album for me. Next up is an interlude, actually. It's called We Aite, like Aite. I've never seen it spelled like that, but hey. In parentheses, wake your mind up. Like your mind is sleeping, and you're like, oh, my mind is up. Okay, cool. Like whatever. Like how when I was writing this review. Okay, no, but it's just a short interlude. I don't really have anything to say about it. He kind of just says like, we Aite, time to wake your mind up. Like, okay, and there's like a drum going on in the background. It seems to be a crowd like cheering for him and stuff like that. Like he's at some kind of concert or something. And that's about it. And then it just goes on for like a minute or a minute and a half or something. Just an interlude. Next up is Marijuana. And as you can probably tell by the title, this is another stoner's anthem. Yes, indeed. I can't believe you didn't know what the subject matter of the song is. It's called Marijuana. I mean, it's. I know it's a tricky one, guys. It's tricky. Quite easily put an ode to marijuana. It's quite obvious what the pretty green bud is that he sings about in his blunt. What he sings about in the chorus. Mixed with the production switch-ups that change over the course of the song, you kind of get the sense that he's really wanting to express how much he just freaking loves cannabis. You know what I mean? And I don't blame him. He quite literally tells you that it's been there for him, like in his lyrics, it's been by his side, we have enough marijuana themed like anthems, but no problem with having another one, for all my bud lovers out there. It's quite an experience to listen to even when you're not high, but definitely better when you are, so make sure you try it out if that is what you partake in, of course. The bridge features Cudi repeating the lines like, always have my back, in a way that only he can do it. Like something so like wild as like weed having your back, like when other people don't, It kind of speaks on the dependency or addiction he had to the substance at the time of this recording. The music fades out, towards the end of the track, and for like a good 15, 20 seconds or something like that, there's just like nothing. And then you hear Cudi say, and 420, and then the song goes off. And for those that don't know, 420 is significance. 420 is significance. If you don't know it, just go Google it. I'm not going to sit here and detail all that. But that was just cool. The name it marijuana and have it be 420. Good job, Cudi. Next track is Mojo So Dope. And this one is honestly not a personal favorite of mine, but apparently a lot of Cudi fans do like it, so I feel like I'm the odd one out here. It starts off, it has a sample of Claustrophobia by the Choir of Young Believers, which, once again, just like in the first album, another group I've never heard of before. But Cudi seems to have this way of, whether it's him or the producers he's working with or whoever, to have this kind of pulling out these obscure tracks that I've never heard of. Like, a lot of hip hop artists and producers sample jazz, disco, and whatnot in older hip hop songs, but Cudi be sampling like some wild stuff. I don't even know. Like, oh, you okay? But then again, I guess that's why they call this alternative hip hop. You know what I'm saying? But this is a slow, chill tune. A lot of like braggadocious raps here and there and whatnot. Touches again slightly on topics like his drinking problem and his concern for his, big brother, kind of, pondering how to help him out and whatnot, thrown in there too. He's mentioned his brother on a few other songs as well. This is another one of those songs that I just don't really find myself going back to, and I only really listened to it again for this album review. Funny enough, during the outro, I just noticed when I was listening to it, but he raises his pitch. I don't know if it was done mechanically or organically or not, but he sounds like Chance the Rapper at the end of the song when he's doing the outro, and I'm just like, what? I was like, yo, I was like, wouldn't it be funny if that was really Chance the Rapper and this was like his first appearance on like a freaking big album or something like that? You know what I mean? I'm sure it's probably not. Chance didn't start releasing music, as far as I know. Correct me if I'm wrong. Until like 2013 or 14, and this album came out in like 2010. But hey, Chance the Rapper was like freaking 15 or 14 or something like that at that point. I don't know. I'm just saying. It's just a funny thought, you know what I mean? Anyways, this one is not a bad one. I know it's a fan favorite, but there's so many other songs that I like a lot more. I'd put this somewhere towards the middle or around there, tail end of it, really, in my personal enjoyment. Don't flame me, guys. Hey. Next up is Ashin Kusher, and that starts Act 3, Party On. Pretty upbeat production, kind of boom bap sounding drum pattern. Here Cudi's rapping, because like half the album he's like singing, or at least, but he's rapping more braggadocious, lyrics, brushing off the haters and all the problems, all that stuff, like Cudi can do so well sometimes. It's another reference to marijuana, as well as a reference to Ashin Kusher, who starred in That 70s Show. I used to watch it a lot, honestly. I did. It was pretty cool. But the main character and the whole cast, they used to like get high a lot. So it's like a double entendre kind of thing. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of boastful, high confidence lines, scattered throughout the song. The chorus is kind of infectious with the oohs and the ad libs and all that stuff. There's even a line there which I'm gonna probably mess up, but there's a line about like not caring when people judge. Who are they? Judy. Like, you know what I mean? And I'm like, I get it. Like, that was kind of like, I don't know, you know what I mean? Overall, once again, this is a track that I never really wound up going back to, but I kind of forgot about it. But it's not bad, once again. Like, I think I might start listening to this a little bit more, maybe, get a few more listens in. But, hey, it's a nice change of pace to hear Cudi a little bit more upbeat sometimes. So I'm going to leave it at that. Moving on, Erase Me, a bit of a rock rap inspired song. The lead single from the album. It did pretty well commercially. I believe it went like double platinum, at least in the States. Can't really think of a band to compare this to. If you guys know what you would compare this to, I don't want to just start naming stuff because I might be completely off base. I don't listen to rock a lot, honestly. But feel free to leave a comment, what it sounds like to you. The music video, has Cudi dressed up in like a Jimi Hendrix kind of style with like the freaking like bandana on or whatever, you know what I mean? And the clothes and the mic and the stage, and he has his band behind him, rocking out and all of that. Until it's Kanye's verse, and he jumps in. And did I forget to mention, it's another Kanye feature on a Kid Cudi single, just like the first album. Cudi raps and sings about a woman who is trying to avoid him now because he hasn't been spending enough time with her, and it apparently hurt her feelings, so she's trying to like be like, oh, well, I don't want to spend time with you anymore now, but I can't help it, and I miss you, but you don't want to spend time with me because you're busy being a rock star and this kind of stuff. So it's the chorus really drives the point home of how much she misses him and his attention he would give her. it's kind of like the classic, like, I'm famous now, my woman misses having more of my attention, kind of thing that you see some artists really do. And I get it. I'm sure it is a genuine concern. Don't take that the wrong way. It's just kind of like a cliche too, But I'm sure it's genuine, coming from Cudi. Kanye comes in with his verse talking about a woman named Aria or something like that, and it culminates in a line about constipation and diarrhea. Like, you gotta go freaking listen to it. He's like, well, diarrhea, some freaking whatever, and I'm just like, what the freaking hell are you talking about, Kanye? It's just kind of like funny. I don't know, whatever. Like, once again, not my favorite song on here. Serves its purpose of being a commercial selling single with crossover appeal, though. I mean, I'm sure it got played on the radio quite a bit. I wasn't really listening to the radio like that back then, but I'm almost positive that it did. It's another, I think, fan favorite of theirs. So hey, moving on is Wildin Cuz I'm Young. It's like wild apostrophe N, like wildin' out the show, whatever. But continues on with the general feel of this act of the album, Party On. As you could probably tell from the title, this is about Cudi being a wild young man, clubbing, drinking, doing drugs, and all that stuff. Not a song I can personally relate to in the slightest freaking bit, honestly, but definitely feels like a theme song for the crowd that he speaks to here. The beat is almost hypnotic, puts you in a trance, like kind of speaking to that consumption that ensues in the track. Further shown by the chorus, which is mostly just the title of the track repeated over and over again. I'm just wildin' cause I'm young. 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 And I'm like, I get it. Like, you're drinking, you're doing drugs, you're chilling. You want to hear something like repetitive, like, yeah, I'm just wildin' cause I'm young. Like, freaking, okay. Not much else to say about it. It's a pretty simple track, and I don't personally relate to the subject matter, like I said, but I do find the track to be one of my favorites on the album and pretty catchy, and I can find myself listening to it, despite the subject matter. It's more of Cudi once again being in his more braggadocious bag with the confidence with women and shrugging off his haters again. You gotta shrug the shoulders, you know what I'm saying? You gotta get them haters the hell up off you. You feel me? But you can just put this song on and zone the hell out with your substance of choice. You know what I'm saying? And you can just wild out because you're young. I don't recommend that for the kids, though. I'm just saying. But if you do gotta do it, drink responsibly. So moving on. Next up is The Mood. The Mood wraps up this act. This drunken, party-filled romp around the freaking album and stuff. It's the shortest song on the album, not counting that earlier interlude. It's a pretty haunting beat, I'd say. Kind of sounds kind of sinister or whatnot and kind of dark. It features like intermittent laughing in the background, like ha 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 ha, and I'm like, what the hell? This is creepy. But the subject matter, I feel like the beat doesn't fit, really. I mean, Cudi spits like a quick 8-bar verse detailing his surroundings in the club, like the creepers staring at him, skinny models doing coke, and the whole crowd is dancing and no one's talking because they're just like lost in the mood, like the title says. Talking about having a good time and whatnot, just chilling, zoned out. The chorus has this like trailing echo effect on it. Further just pushes the point home of like being like in a drunken high atmosphere that you might find at a club, like you might be slurring or something like that or whatever, the music's playing and it's echoing throughout the place, what I'm talking about. And it leads into Cudi's rapping about a possibly French model being foreign to racism, like, because he's like, possibly French, foreign to the racism, she loves my brown skin, like something like that. And I'm just like, I get it, foreign to racism. You did it again, Cudi. No, so, and then it talks about like bringing in her friend and whatnot, and then we can just assume that it's like a threesome because he says like, she's gonna please her friend for me and all this stuff. And I'm like, whoa, nice, okay, cool. And then they're like lost in the mood again. Then the chorus fades out and the production just continues, like the beat just keeps playing for like a freaking minute or so. And I guess at least once again, how I'm taking it, like, I guess it kind of points to the narrative of them being lost in the mood and just having like some kind of threesome, and all the conversation has stopped. He stopped narrating. His mind is just shut off, and he's just, basically having sex, pretty much, which is cool. I mean, who doesn't like having sex to music in the background? I've done it freaking quite a few times. I can take it or leave it. It is what it is. But hey, if that's what Cudi likes, that's what he likes. I don't even know if that's what he's trying to portray. That's just how I basically took it. Overall, not a bad song. Definitely one of the ones that I do go back to and listen to. It's short enough to get the point across well enough, and it wraps this up nicely before we begin that next act and delve into something a little bit darker. Maniac is the next track, and that starts Act 4, The Transformation. A harrowing song featuring Cage, the rapper, and the singer St. Vincent, and it samples St. Vincent's song, The Strangers, which, once again, I never heard of St. Vincent or Cage until this song. Apparently, true to the title, Cudi and Cage have disturbing lyrics, put you into the deep mind of a maniac, really deep inside, dealing with darkness, loneliness, and anger and whatnot. Almost as if all the partying and the substance abuse is like taking its toll on them, and they're getting a hard look at the result. They're just like, freaking like feeling crazy. Cudi's realizing how lonely he feels, and all the dark feelings from the previous songs are back, or maybe they never left, and they're being covered up by the party. And now that the party's over, and this is the transformation. See, narration. You see, cohesion. It's cohesive. He talks about being in covers, hiding in his shadows, hiding in his room, not coming out. And Cage talks about like finding the monster in him when he lost his cool, perhaps alluding to having some anger, rage issues and whatnot deep down that he's trying to control. And all in all, this is one of the most relatable tracks to me on the album, unfortunately, and probably my favorite track on the album, and probably one of my favorite Kid Cudi songs, period. Especially when I'm in a certain mood. And as you can guess by the title of the song, you could probably guess what kind of mood that is. And unfortunately, that mood happens a little bit too often for me. But let's get back onto the album review, shall we? So, next up, the song is Mr. Rager. This is the freaking song from the title. This is the song that a lot of Cudi fans and non-Cudi fans freaking seem to know. Second single from the album. And kind of the one I prefer out of the two, honestly. This song has Cudi speaking to his alter ego, Mr. Rager, the one that does cocaine and drinks too much and deals with addiction that could lead to his death. You truly start to feel the heavy tones in the song, with some of his lines coming across as cries of help and pleading to his other self to no longer be in control, kind of battling his addiction through song, which if you watch a music video for, you're literally see Kid Cudi fighting a copy of himself, the Mr. Rager from the title of the track and the album. He questions continuously, like, in the hook or the chorus or the bridge or whatever, like, where are we going? And then Mr. Rager, I assume, responds like, I'm on my way to heaven. And then you hear like the Cudi version come back, and he's like, well, can we tag along? And it's just like, basically him admitting that, possibly these addictions can have dire consequences, but it's just hard to not go along with it sometimes. Like, oh yeah, come on, just take another hit. You need me. Like, freaking, whoa, back off, man. Like, hey, I want to get back in control. And it gives you a good feeling, like this intense high, like, whew, like, you know what I mean? You can't help yourself. Once again, good song. I like it. But moving on is These Worries. Another pretty dark song, obviously. I mean, it's covering topics again like alcohol consumption. And as the title says, it's obviously about worries that Cudi's been dealing with. Like the earlier track, though, Don't Play This Song, this one also features Mary J. Blige on the chorus, singing along with Kid Cudi, delivering heavy, loaded lines of, heavy worries on their shoulders, burdens, and like pride being the thing that's pushing them out of being a victim any longer. Sometimes your pride just won't let you continue to be a victim or continue to suffer in a way, or, not fight your addictions and cravings and whatnot. Before each verse, Cudi makes a snorting noise, like perhaps to show the listener that he's still in his rager form from the previous song and dealing with the cocaine addiction that he's mentioned previously as well. Hey, I don't know. You know what I mean? I mean, it seems kind of obvious, since it comes like right afterwards and whatnot. Not one of my favorite songs. It's another one that I really have not listened to until this review. Like I of course I went back and listened to it a few times and whatnot, but definitely it's an anthem for fighting back against your fears and anxieties, and I can take it for what it is. Like that, I respect. Because I'm a person, of course, that has a lot of worries and anxiety and whatnot myself, so I completely dig it. It's just me sonically, it's just not for me. Mary especially does a good job on the chorus and the bridge, shining a light of hope to fight against your troubles and the self-doubt that we all face. So for that, I give her a thumbs up, especially to Mary J. Blige. She did her thing on both songs, for real. How he got her on 2 songs, that's pretty good. This legend, you know what I mean? Next track is The End. It's not the end of the album, but it is the last track on Act 4. Confusing? I know it is. This is one of the more traditional hip-hop sounding tracks with a more typical structure compared to some of the other songs in the album. It samples Skip Mahoney and the Casual song titled I Need Your Love. And once again, a group I haven't really heard of before. But the song features GLC on the first verse and frequent collaborator Chip the Ripper on the second verse, with Nicole Ray on the chorus. Each rapper takes a different spin on like ending a situation that they're in that turned out to be negative in some way. GLC like cryptically touches on being betrayed by a friend regarding money, and Chip tells a story about a friend who calls him about needing backup regarding a shooting, and it turns out to be a setup, and he's like, I'm not gonna trust him ever again. I barely made it out. This and that, and dang, what I mean. Cudi, on the other hand, talks about his substance abuse rather than like literal friends and people. He talks about these substances like weed and whatnot, and in a similar like manner, as the previous 2 rappers do. And it's all wrapped around Nicole Ray's chorus with the lines never doing it again being repeated. Like, this is the end, I'm never doing this again. And it's nice to see a song that really stays on topic and is very cohesive. Like, you know what I mean? Like, everyone stayed on topic. It's pretty cool. I don't always get to see that, unfortunately, especially with songs with multiple features. The exact situations might not be relatable to me at all, but who hasn't been in a situation in general where they told themselves that they weren't going to be doing this anymore? Whether it's a relationship, like some kind of business dealing, a job, like an addiction, hobby. Like, this is the end. I'm not doing this anymore. Like, so I can relate that. Not a bad track. Next up is All Along, and that begins Act 5. And the title of Act 5 is You Live and You Learn. This is a sorrowful ode to the loneliness that Cudi feels. It really strives to push along the point of Cudi seeming to realize that he was really meant to be all alone. He references like nightmares, rumors, and addictions, things he's covered extensively in this album as well as the previous, really showing that it's the ending of the album. Which, having a song even play after the previous song is titled The End might be confusing enough. Apparently, All Along was supposed to finish the album, but Cudi decided to record 3 more songs afterwards and put them in the album too. Those being Don't Play This Song, which he decided to place up much further in the album, higher. Ghost and Trapped in My Mind, which both follow this track and really end the album actually. Overall, this track has an album closing feel to it, like a departure kind of song, like a goodbye and whatnot for now. Like a goodbye to listeners, like, hey guys, see you later. I'm going to be lonely and whatnot. And it's not something I just put on to listen to, honestly, because of the general just down mood and whatnot. But it definitely fits the overall theme of the album. So for that, once again, I give you kudos for that, and I respect it for what it is. Next up is Ghost. Man, I say it like that because there's an exclamation point at the end. So it's like, Ghost! You know what I mean? It has Cudi lamenting about becoming a ghost. Perhaps in reference to the loneliness that he's talked about throughout the album. If you're like, no one can see me or something like that, He even starts the first verse off mentioning his near-death experience due to his addiction and continues on in the chorus to question his status as a ghost. Like, when did I become a ghost? And it's just like, yeah, I don't know, Cudi. When did you? How the experiences he's been through how they've made him the man he is today as well. It's like a bit more upbeat sounding with the production, which features a sample by apparently the Freak Scenes, the group, and the song's called My Rainbow Life. Once again, never heard of it. Like, you know. But, you know, mixed with Kid Cudi's sing-songy vocals, it sounds like a bit more positive of a song, despite the lyrical content being such a sharp contrast to that. You know, lyrically, it's like a very downing song, but it doesn't really sound like that, like production-wise and the way he's singing, you know? It's kind of, you know, maybe they did that on purpose, you know, I'm sure. You know, maybe it shows that he's somewhat just accepting of his situation, despite him not being the happiest at the moment, you know? The last minute of the song also has a beat switch up, and it kind of makes me wish that the whole song had that beat, or that he just did a whole different song with that beat, you know? Because I like the second beat better. But, moving on. Trapped in My Mind. Trapped in My Mind finishes the album, and Act 5, of course. Cudi's verses on the songs had this effect on it that make it sound kind of drowned out. Don't know why, but I don't like it. Maybe it's in reference to him being trapped in his mind. And once again, that's just me. That's what I took from it. Maybe like his inner thoughts. You know, that would have been a cool kind of thing to do for a video, maybe. As you could assume from the title, lyrically, the song covers his feelings of being trapped, the dark thoughts that consume him, the loneliness, and other feelings that he's talked about again over the course of this album on numerous occasions. In the chorus, he tells the listeners that he's, you know, indeed trapped in his mind. He admits how crazy it is, but it's not too bad overall, and he's just accepted it for what it is. And, you know, acceptance is the overall theme of this track. He's almost sounding happy throughout it, you know, to be trapped in his mind, as he is. It gives you a feeling that he's at peace, and it's like a relief from some of the darker sounds and thoughts that, you know, that he's been talking about. It's a good closer for the album, rather than ending it with All Along as he initially planned, you know, because this one is another song that sounds like a good closer, so he could have did it with either one, you know. Overall, the album's pretty good. Another good album by Cudi. Second album overall. It's one that I haven't listened to as much as the first Man on the Moon. Once again, I don't do number ratings and whatnot typically, but I can rank this in his discography because I compare Cudi to Cudi. I would say Man on the Moon 2 is probably my third favorite album by him. Probably third, yeah. Or fourth, but definitely top 4. Definitely. So basically somewhere in the middle of his overall discography. Not bad in the slightest, but not my favorite. I think Man on the Moon 1 is personally enjoyable for me more sonically, at least, you know, like based on things like the production and the way he was rapping and singing and things of that nature. Still a lot of relatable feelings. Like, still I can relate to some of the songs on here and the subject matter and whatnot. I can't relate. He seems to talk a lot about drugs and stuff like that and liquor on this album, which I can't really relate to. I feel like I was able to relate to the first album a little more, like, personally. But hey, it's quite introspective still and full of emotion, and I don't think that any of the features held the songs back, and I instead feel like they did bring out the best of the album. Some of the songs that are my favorites were the ones with the features. Don't Play This Song, Maniac, the one with GLC and Chip the Ripper was pretty cool too, and even the other song with Mary J Blige on it, you know, she did her thing. You know, the album is pretty cohesive, and the acts being broken up like that make it like pretty, like they put pretty similar songs right next to each other, which makes it for easy listening and brings a bit of structure, cohesiveness, and things of that nature to the album, which is always good to have, you know. So overall, I don't think it's a bad album. Pretty dang good. I think he did it back to back, releasing 2 good albums, or good to great albums, within the course of like 2 years, you know, 2009 and 2010, you know. So once again, as always, hope you liked the review. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more, because more's on the way. I know I've been back for a while, but I'm here to stay, hopefully. So remember to subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. Remember to click the thumbs up video, or like, thumbs up button to like the video rather. And of course, remember to leave a comment if you have any comments, questions, suggestions, or whatnot on what to review first. What do you think about the album? Feel free to tell me. We can talk about it in the comment section below. Links will be in the description box. And remember to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch. And if you want to join my Discord server, just leave a comment and I can send you an invite there, because I'm always welcome to come and chill and kick it with you guys. Remember, I'm trying to stream more often. You want to, all those links will be in the description box, so just check them out. And tell me what you think about the album. What should I review next? I'm open to suggestions, guys. Thank you for watching. As always, it is appreciated. Thank you. Truly thank you. I know sometimes I have a tendency to ramble, but this is some of my favorite music, and music is my life. I freaking love it, if you couldn't tell. But whatever. I'm out.